Welcome, everyone, to the Women's Empower Network. I'm so excited you're here. We have an impromptu interview this afternoon, and I'm so excited to introduce to you Jennifer Leslie, who really has an amazing story and how she became a holistic health coach. So, Leslie, if you tell us a little bit about your story and why did you decide to become a health coach?
Sure. Yes. Oh, thank you for giving me the time to do this. Um, so, well, holistic health has always been something that I have been very intrigued by. In my early 30s, late 20s, I started getting into Reiki, became Reiki Master Certified. I worked at a wellness store, learned about supplements, started seeing an herbalist who was also a friend of mine. And it was just something that I always felt very drawn to, and also really felt very exciting, very, very exciting. Actually, I was like, I would talk to my friends about it. They'd be like, "We don't want to hear about your probiotics anymore," you know. But it was something that was just very thrilling to me to learn about herbs and homeopathy and just lifestyle and things like that, and how supportive it is to your body and how strong it makes you from the inside out. Um, and so to fast forward things, it was always just kind of an interest or a hobby for me, to, study these. But it wasn't until around 2019 when I started, well, it was progressive, but I was having all these weird symptoms, random different things going off in my body, gut issues, aches and pains here and there. Um, I had to have my gallbladder taken out because I was having gallbladder attacks, and I really didn't understand what was going on with me, because always inconsistent, the different things that were going off in my body, and experiencing fatigue, great fatigue. I'm a single mom, two kids, um, 19. Oh, my youngest was like 2.5, and my was 7 at the time. And I just couldn't let my arms were like very heavy. Lifting things would make me nauseous. I went to the doctors. They did all kinds of tests, and they just said there's nothing wrong with you. And they said highly recommended that I start to take some like anti-anxiety medication or like an antidepressant. And I said, all right, well, thanks for your input. And just, you know, um, I'm all for doctors and allopathic medicine when it's needed. Like, really, there's a balance. I'm not stringent about one or the other. Like, there's a time and a place for everything. Um, and I don't argue with my doctors if I disagree with them. I just smile and move on and do what I know works. There's times when you need the doctors. But yeah, they weren't gonna they couldn't help me, and I knew it wasn't depression or anxiety. Um, so I went to my herbalist friend, and she did some biofeedback testing on me, some frequency testing. And what showed up was spirochetes. And if anyone is familiar with Lyme disease, you might be familiar with the term spirochetes. It's another name for the bacteria that thrives in your body. So at this point, I had had chronic Lyme for years. That was progressive. Um, and then the pandemic happened. And so just as I was about to start getting help and working on trying to get better, everything shut down, and no one was supposed to leave their house. Like, not that I really, at that point, I was so incapacitated. I couldn't work. There was nothing. So it kind of, in a weird cosmic way, the God protected me there, because like I really hit my bottom with my health during a very even though it was a scary time, it was a protected time because there weren't like outside people to be more of like, well, why aren't you performing? Why can't you show up for work? Your bills are due. Like all the pressures, all the stress that you have to do, there was no way I was able to do those things. Um, but at the same time, I also wasn't able to get any help. I didn't have any pressure from anybody, but I was like, everybody's gone. So I did phone calls with my herbalist. Once a week, she would check, she would muscle test me over the phone. And I would ask her questions, and then we'd have our session, and I would do my research. I ordered a bunch of books about chronic Lyme and all kinds of stuff. And together, like she helped keep me sane, just like through the phone, and she would, supplements, herbs. And I had another friend of mine who is very holistic and lives a vegan lifestyle. And she would come over to my house regardless. She was like, I'm not afraid of the pandemic. And she would help clean my house. She taught me how to cook. She taught me how to juice. She taught me how to eat. So there were two women in my life during that time that were like moms to me. And they helped me and my kids. Um, and I like learned how to live for the first time. And it was quite an experience. And then I also started like, getting more into like my spiritual practices as well, and the kids were there with me. I did a lot of celery juice, and my almost 3-year-old, she called it my medicine. She's like, Mama, you taking your medicine this morning? I'm like, yeah, honey, you're taking my medicine. And I also ended up getting myself a rife machine, which is something that I also do on the side for people with frequencies and foot baths and things like that for detoxing. But it really went from like a real scare at one point. Like I thought I was dying. It got to that point where and and just when I thought I had like come to the end of the road, and I was gonna have to like make some phone calls to people about like what are the arrangements with the children. Uh, within days, so much shifted in my life. It was like truly miracles, which brings me back to like after I got through that, I said, you know what? I gotta do this. I gotta do this. Like, I'm not interested in holistic health coaching, fun, or because it's a hobby. It's my calling, and my calling literally pulled me out of, my deathbed and raised me back up. Like, and I have a network, like so I said, okay, I'll look into some schools. And I looked into one. This is a kind of funny story. At least I thought it was funny. To this one school that sounded really great. And I was like, oh, I don't know though, because it was kind of pricey. So I called my friend. I said, I don't know, this school looks cool, but I'm not sure. And she said, just do it, just do it. She goes, I'm gonna Venmo you like $200 right now. Just put like a down payment on it and just do it. Just call them back. And I was like, really? And she's like, yeah. Well, what happened was I was looking at a school and I called the wrong school. So I was looking at one online, but then I called the wrong number and I got the right price from the wrong school. And then I called the right school with the wrong price from another school and said, I can do this. When can I sign up? I was psyched. And they were like, really? I said, yes, I can make these payments. I can put, and they had no idea what I was talking about, but I was so excited and they loved it. They were like, well, let me speak with the other owner of the business and see if we can do this, plan, this payment plan that you have given us. And we'll get back to you. And they called me back. They're like, we love you. Let's do it. Like, yes. And I couldn't believe it. Like, I was like, I'm in school for holistic health coaching. I can't believe. And then when I realized because the next day I got a phone call back from the wrong school. And I started talking to them and I was like, yeah, I'm already, and they're like, you're not signed up. And I was like, who are you? So like, just, when you have a calling, it's really hard to deny it. It doesn't go away. It doesn't go away. And when you're not fulfilling your calling too, there's an emptiness inside that you feel, because like I'm meant to do that, to help other people, you know, find their own autonomy and feel empowered, knowing that they have choices and that they have a support system behind them, and that like these are our bodies and we have a lot more control and power over them than doctors would have us believe. And so that's my story.
That's a beautiful story. I love that story. And, I especially like the part that when you went to the doctor and he was trying to put you on antidepressants, and that you knew this wasn't right, and that you honored what you felt to be true.
Well, yeah, as I started looking into this more, and and I started seeking out like groups on Facebook, like for like Lyme, just to be like, because what are other people doing? And I found out like that this is a very common thing, that chronic diseases are often misdiagnosed, or not diagnosed at all. And psych medicines tend to be like one of the first go-tos for doctors with someone who has really, like some type of autoimmune disease. Um, and I feel like, especially with me being, a single mother, I think he thought, oh, you're just stressed. Just here's this prescription. Don't, silly woman, kind of brushed off. And I was like, no, this is not from stress. This is a whole nother thing. You know, I should be able to lift up my dishes and put them away without feeling like I'm gonna vomit. I couldn't walk from one room to the other without having to lay down. Um, that's not stress. So yeah.
That's
And
a
I
beautiful.
thank you. No, I was just the part that I personally love about my story though, too, is I've always had my calling. I feel like that God has given me, that I've been aware of. But he also, his timing, and then the people that he placed in my life, like all of it was just so weaved together so well. So like even during like the scary times, like there was always a safety net, whether I was aware of it or not. And that's a message that I feel like, you know, is good for people to hear. Like if you know what your calling is, you have a calling, the universe is going to see through that. It will carry you, to do that, because we got work to do.
We do. That's so beautiful. I mean, you just said it so well. Is there any parting words that you would like to say to somebody on any level, either getting into health coaching or struggling with an illness, or what would you say?
Um, I would say, don't give up on yourself. Um, Even if, it doesn't feel like you're making any progress at all, or your progress is very incremental and slow, um, that's okay. It's not a race. It's not a race. And you're where you're at this point in time for a reason. So just start, being a little bit open about what's the reason here, and keep talking to your higher power, whatever your higher power is that you choose to call um it. But having a higher power and keeping that connection um will always be like the backbone of your success.
That's so beautiful. Leslie, I can't thank you enough for sharing your story. And anybody who resonates with Leslie, we're going to put her information in the comments so that if you want to get a hold of her and ask her about some of her treatments and her Rife machine, anything like that, please get in touch with her. Thank you, Leslie.
Thank you so much.